All right. I think that's probably enough time for everyone to get here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Yeah, awesome to see lots of people saying where they're from. Awesome, Mike, that you're here. That would be a disaster if you weren't. I'm calling in from Sydney, so I want to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the land I'm currently on. And of course, I extend that acknowledgement to the traditional owners of wherever you might be calling in from today. My name's Nicola. I'm the content lead at Gathered Here. I'm usually the one who is answering all of your questions in the back. So yeah, if you've ever wondered who's doing that, that's me. And today we are going to kick off with a quick introduction, and then we'll cover the pre-registered questions that came through before we start answering your live questions. The Q&A is open now, so if you do have any questions that you didn't pre-register, that's absolutely fine. Feel free to start popping them in there now, but we will come to those after the pre-registered ones. And that's about it, really. There is a few of us on the call answering questions today, so I will do a bit of an introduction. As I say, my name is Nicola. For anyone who's joined our webinars before, I'm the person who frantically types the answers and tries to get through the Q&A. So luckily we don't have that this time. We'll be doing that at the end. And today, rather than answering your questions, I'll be moderating. And yeah, of course, if you do happen to have any content related questions, I'm happy to answer them. But we do have experts with us today as well. So we've got Adam, Rika, and Mike, but I'll let them introduce themselves. Adam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Nicola. And experts is being a bit generous. I'll speak for myself on that one. But yes, my name's Adam. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the head of partnerships at Gathered Here. It's really me and my team. We're the ones that you'll speak to about joining Gathered Here in the first instance. I'd like to sort of talk to you about your goals and any concerns that you might have, help you sort of figure out which features of the platform are going to be most helpful and most relevant for you. Pretty much my entire career has been within and around the nonprofit sector. So I've been around the space for a while myself and worked within fundraising teams as well. So completely understand some of the uniqueness that surrounds the sector. And fully appreciate the sort of pressure that comes along with working in fundraising, having to reassure everyone that you are spending funds the right way. So yeah, it's a big part of what we do and how we build things out here, working with you and just reassuring you that if you do want to reach out, there's no pressure from me or my team. Happy to just give you straightforward answers about things and kind of highlight some of the different features across our different tiers, but always honest advice that you're going to get from us. Rika, I'll pass over to you.
Thanks, Adam. Hi, I'm Rika, everyone. As Adam said, I'm the senior probate lawyer over at Gathered Here. So my team and I see the other side of the journey after a will maker has passed away. And I would say our primary job is really helping families apply for this thing called probate, which I'll talk about in a little bit, whatever that means, right? And helping them understand the process to make sure they've got everything they need. And I'll throw to Mike.
Thanks, Rika. I'm Mike. Nice to see some familiar names on the call today. I lead the partner success team. So me and my team, we look after all of our partners once they've actually joined Gathered Here. That could be anything from helping you find a strategy that is really realistic and effective for your organization, supporting our charity partners through their campaign efforts, getting some free creative for us, and also just figuring out the quirks of the platform.
Perfect. Thanks so much, everyone. And yeah, I think that's probably enough about us. Let's have a look at Gathered Here. So we will keep this really brief. I know a lot of you are familiar with us, but for those who aren't, yeah, we over 125,000 online wills have been created on our platform. And every single one of those has been free. So people are really happy with that service. We have an average review rating of 4.9 stars out of 5. And around 5,500 5-star reviews from verified will writers. And of course, all of this is resulting in a lot of trust and support from charity partners. We've recently crossed the milestone of 1,000 charity and NFTs that partner with us, which we were super happy about. And an estimated 1.4 billion has been pledged via wills written on Gathered Here. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about what we're really here for. Our first question came from the Heart Foundation, and they actually had a few for us, so we split them out into different ones. But thank you so much for these. There were some really good ones. Everyone who submitted one, the questions have come through. And the first one was, where is data stored? The short answer is Amazon Web Services Sydney, but Adam, I think you're going to expand on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a pretty common question we get asked, obviously. Yeah, again, having worked in the sector myself, fully appreciate how important it is to be mindful of your supporters' data and ensuring that anybody you're working with is keeping that data safe. So as Nicola said, all of our data is stored with AWS in Sydney. There's a lot of technical jargon that goes along with that, which you can read on the screen, but the important thing is having the data close by and local for our Australian partners, or nearby for our partners in New Zealand. It means that everything just works a lot faster, which is obviously really important as well. And that goes for both Will Writer data as well as the charity data for our partners, so your accounts and all of your information and things like that. One other really important thing, particularly when we're talking about data of your supporters or the will writers coming through to our platform, is always just to keep in mind, because our wills are free, there's no requirement for anybody to enter in any payment details. So there's no credit card data or anything like that being stored, which means, you know, some of those more rigid compliance bits and pieces that you're probably familiar with some of the other aspects of fundraising that I'm sure you're dealing with, fortunately, not as relevant because we don't retain any payment information. So, but yeah, as I said, a bit more of a technical answer there for everyone as well. And if anybody has any more questions on that, please by all means reach out. If we don't know, we can ask the team here who does understand some of the more technical aspects of it.
And yeah, Heart Foundation actually did have a few data related questions, so we're going to work through those ones first. And the next one was, can will writers access their data if Gathered Here stops operating? And the short answer is that any downloaded wills are of course still valid, and we do have a contingency plan in place for those that aren't downloaded. Adam, do you want to take this one again?
Yeah, definitely. So again, just want to reassure everyone that if we were to suddenly stop operating tomorrow, everyone's printed wills are still valid. They retain those. That's a file that they have at home. We don't retain the executed document of the wills. And we do have that contingency plan for anyone who hasn't completed theirs yet. But again, just want to reiterate, we're not planning on going anywhere. We recently closed a third round of funding, so yeah, no immediate plans for anything to be happening to Gathered Here as far as ceasing operations goes. Something would have to go pretty drastically wrong for that to happen. And as we said, even if that were the case, everyone would still be able to access their existing wills, and those printed wills are still valid. That has no tie-in back to Gathered Here being operational. In terms of that contingency plan, we would be emailing all users with an account and letting them know of a closure if that were to happen, providing everyone with the opportunity to actually complete and download their wills. And similarly for our charity partners, we would be sure to notify any and all of you as well to let you know if something were to happen, so you have the opportunity to get the most up-to-date data from your side of things as well. Pass back over to you, Nicola.
All right, let's have a look at the next one. Is proof of ID asked and verified? And yeah, this is one that we actually get a lot, so we're glad that this was brought up. And the answer is no, but it is on our near roadmap. Mike, I know this is one that you're particularly interested in. Would you like to take this one?
Yeah, thanks, Nicola. So yeah, as you mentioned, we don't currently ask for or verify proof of ID, but that ID verification essentially occurs when the will is witnessed. So to become valid, it must be signed by the will writer in front of two impartial witnesses who also sign the will themselves. The witnesses, they are confirming the will writer's identity and their capacity to understand the will. However, we're hearing plenty of feedback around this feature request, and we know that stewardship is very, very important to our charity partners and your supporter journeys, and that you want that reassurance that these wills are obviously written by genuine people. So I can confirm that ID verification is officially on our roadmap. Can't say just when right now. I think Madeline is on the call, and thank you for this question, obviously. And but when it is built into our platform, it's going to be managed by a third party, a trusted third party. So we won't store any of that highly sensitive ID information of the will writer.
Perfect. So yeah, that was actually our last question from Heart Foundation. But yeah, thank you again for really engaging with this process. Yeah, it was awesome to see that. We did also get a few anonymous submissions, which sparked quite a discussion with our team, particularly this next one. And this one was, if you were starting a bequest program from scratch with only the occasional unknown gifts coming in, what would be the most important 3 things to do first? And yeah, as I say, we actually talked a lot about this as a team when we sort of coming up with the answers for these. And we sort of realized that it depends on what you mean by scratch, but it also depends on your organization, the resources you have. And we're very aware that no 2 charities look the same, and those 3 steps might look very different if you're a one-person micro charity or if you're part of a multinational organization. So if you asked this question, you sparked a very interesting conversation with our team on how best to answer it. Mike, do you want to take this one?
Yep, absolutely. So we don't have time really to get into the nitty-gritty for every single scenario, but we decided to take a broad look from 2 different perspectives of scratch. Well, like you mentioned, Nicola, that is if you've never done any bequest fundraising at all, and the other scenarios is if you've already joined Gathered Here and want to start building some momentum. Firstly, if you've never done any intentional bequest fundraising before, this is obviously for perhaps the much smaller organizations out there. I'd recommend beginning by normalizing bequest discussions with your wider team. This is really, really important. There's obviously a lot of crossover between bequesters, regular givers, major donors, and even staff and volunteers of the organisation. And normalising the discussions about bequest fundraising helps remove that taboo and can help you really get started. I also encourage you to start doing something now, or maybe even yesterday. So look for ways to incorporate bequest wording into your existing communications, for example, in your new donor packs or in your supporter surveys, and of course, on your websites as well. And then, of course, the last one is we recommend joining Gathered Here. We offer a completely free membership tier if you're not ready or in a position to make a financial investment. And just simply by joining our free platform, your free tier, that means you're able to start offering your existing supporters a free and easy way to include a gift in their will. One of our more recent charity partners actually joined because they conducted a supporter survey, and the survey revealed some of their supporters were interested in pledging a gift in their will, but they had no idea how to go about it. So getting started is really, really important. This organization, they joined our free basic tier and they began reaching out to their supporters with the free online tool and started to earn bequests pretty much immediately. Let's switch now to the other scenario, which is 3 of the most important things if you've already joined Gathered Here and want to start building some momentum. So first and really important is add the link to your custom will writing page on your website and integrate that into any communications mentioning bequests. It's a very simple call to action. It allows you to start getting traction. Then once you've got those basics down, you can create an outreach campaign to your supporters. A good example of that is you could look at sending a multi-part email series introducing the concepts of bequest to your supporters, informing them that they can access a free online will, and really just educating them on the impact of legacy gifts as well. That's a really important one, is that strong message around the impact that a potential bequest might have. And then once you're feeling confident with our platform, I'd suggest working with us to reach brand new supporters as well and generate gifts in wills much faster. You can do that by advertising your organization on high visibility areas of our platform, which it makes it much, much easier for organic users of Gathered Here, of which there are several thousand every month, to see your organization and consider pledging a gift to you. To do that, you just need to have credits in our platform, which you can purchase within it. And that guarantees you visibility until that credit is redeemed and that's receiving a gift.
Nice, thanks so much, Mike. And this slide actually does tie in nicely with another question that we got around credits. And that was just, can you explain how credits work and essentially what they are? So the short answer, credits enable your organization to appear on the highest visibility areas of the online will platform. And they enable you to reach new supporters and earn gifts faster than you would if you were just reaching out to your own supporters. Adam, can I throw this one to you so you can elaborate on it a bit?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the important thing to keep in mind with credits, there's a few things. First and foremost, it's that the credits are optional. It's really your tool to start to broaden your reach. Best way to sort of think about credits is as your advertising opportunity with Gathered Here. It's what allows you to place your organization a bit more front and center on some of the more high visibility parts of our platform. Importantly, with the credits, they don't expire based on time or number of views. You're only redeeming credits when they're actually generating gifts for you, and only if that gift has come from a page other than your own. So credits can be a little bit complicated for anybody who doesn't understand them and not currently using them. We'll explain it a bit here, and we've got a few screenshots here to kind of highlight some of it as well. But really good example of the sort of thing that can be great to find some time with myself or someone in my team, and we can run through it a bit more with you and kind of highlight some of the key bits specifically for your organization. But yeah, the credits themselves, they're $179 each plus GST. And yeah, as soon as you have at least one credit, you're going to start showing up in a few different spots. There are some bulk purchase discounts available with credits as well. So the more you buy, the cheaper they get per credit. And as I said, given they don't expire based on time, always good to buy a few up front where you can. But yeah, really your way of sort of connecting with supporters from other organizations, connecting with individuals who are just maybe Googling online wills and coming together here that way and sort of starting to generate some gifts from them. It can be a really great donor acquisition tool as well. And I think there's a few of our partners on the webinar today who have seen some pretty great results with that as well. Yeah, Nicola, if you're happy to click through to the next slide, we can start to have a look at some of the places where these credits show up. So we're looking here at what we call our full list of charities. In this list, all of our partners show up, those with and without credits. You'll be a bit more prominently displayed in the full list here, and you'll have your logo featured here as well. So yeah, great opportunity to get in front of some wheel riders as they're coming through the platform. I think the next slide, there we go. Looking at some of the other places that you'll start to show up. So we have what we call our group listings, which gives you a great opportunity to kind of give wheel riders the opportunity to support you because they're interested in the cause area that you're operating in. We find this is a really great way for organizations to start gaining new supporters who happen to be confirmed bequesters. Really just giving people the opportunity to support a specific cause area rather than a specific organization. Then we have our cause area listings there in the second column, and lets people sort of filter out by some of those specific cause areas that they might be interested in supporting and choose specific organizations. And then again, we've got our priority placement there in that full list. As I mentioned before, you can see the logo sitting there for our partners that they do have credits, and they're sort of staying on that paid tier as well. But yeah, that's kind of the quick overview of credits and how they work. As I said, always happy to chat a bit more and a bit more specifically about how it might kind of work for your organization. But we're seeing some really great results for our partners. Some of those being some of the really big household name organizations that obviously attract a few more people just based on their reputation and how well known they are, but right through to some of the really small and even local and grassroots organizations still seeing great results from credits, particularly through some of those group listings and that sort of thing as well. Yeah, I will pass back over to you, Nicola.
Adam, yeah, hopefully that cleared things up. And I would just echo what Mike and Adam have been saying in terms of if you're unsure about this, just get in touch and we can have a conversation about how it works specifically for your organization. as I say, we are super aware that everybody's organization is unique. So yeah, you can actually come and speak one-on-one with us as well. Well, I say us, Mike or Adam will speak one-on-one with you. So I do actually want to change topic here for a bit because we did get quite a few legal focused questions. So I think it's kind of Rika's time to go in the hot seat. The first one was, have any charities been legally challenged by other beneficiaries surrounding the creation or amendment of an online will? And the short answer is not that we know of, and will challenges are rarer than you might think. Yeah, Rika, do you want to expand on this one?
Sure thing. So, look, this is kind of a tricky one to answer because there's no actual central database for these things called probate files, right? Or will challenges. So before I launch into explaining about that a little bit, I might just quickly explain what probate is. So of the people listening in today, I'm not sure if you've had to deal with the loss of a loved one before. And if you have, I am really sorry. But there is this process called probate. And what probate is it's a piece of paper that the court will give to your executor after you pass away, and that is exchanged for your original signed will. Now, that if you have that piece of paper, it means your will has gone through scrutiny. So it has gone to the Supreme Court. The judges have looked at it and they have said, yep, this, they put their stamp on it and they say this is a legitimate will, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about probate. It's just a piece of paper that's fancy. So, all right, that being said now, it's hard to track these things, but what I can do is share with you what I know. So, of the wills that have come across my team and I's desk and just through the grapevine, we don't know of any challenges at all that have been made to any gathered here wills, which is fantastic. And just in general, will challenges are a lot rarer than people think as well. So, what we do have is some data from the New South Wales Supreme Court website. Yes, yeah, 4.7% of wills last year were contested. So that's quite a small number, really. And of those 4.7, of that 4.7%, I should say, 3.2% were what we call a family provision claim. So what that means is you've made a will and you've cut out your child or your spouse or some other kind of financial dependent, and they've said, nope, I'm not happy. I'm going to go complain to the court and try to get some more money. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a family provision claim. And the other bit of that 4.7%, the 1.5%, that was a validity contest. So it could be that, hey, look, Jim's made a will. I don't think Jim had his marbles when Jim made his will, and I'm going to go complain to the judge about it because I don't think it's fair what he's done in his will. So that's the kind of contests that we're sort of dealing with. And I think if Nicola wants to flick over to the next slide. Thank you. That's really nicely plotted there. So you can see it's sort of flat, like the rate of contests over the past 4 years there. And it does line up as well with the advent of online wills. So really online wills have only been around since about this time. So just because we've introduced online wills, that to me anyway, I'm not a statistician, but that does indicate that that's not causing further contests to wills or anything in that respect. So in the grand scheme of things, the answer is it's a very low chance of contest, and we just haven't seen it happening, Nicola.
Thanks so much, Rika. And yeah, I did see a question pop up quickly about what data this refers to, and it is only for New South Wales. As Rika said, it's so sort of segmented where this data is. There isn't an overarching database. So we are working on trying to get more comprehensive data, but for the purposes of this, it's kind of just to give you an idea roughly of what percentages we're looking at. And staying on the legal theme, we also got a question about mistakes in wills. So what if there is a mistake in a will? And yeah, mistakes do happen, but it doesn't mean the will is invalid. So yeah, I'll hand this straight back to you, Rika.
Sure thing. This is my favorite topic to talk about, so I'm going to try not to ramble. too much. I'll try to keep it concise. But look, mistakes happen very frequently, and we're not just talking about in online wills, but we're also talking about in solicitor-made wills and other types of wills as well. And the very, very good news is that just because there is a mistake present in a will, it does not mean that the will is invalid, all right? So far, just for some context, every Gathered Here will that has come across our desk after someone has passed away having made a Gathered Here will that has contained a mistake has been successfully admitted to probate. It's survived the gauntlet. We have a 100% success rate of Gathered Here wills, which is really phenomenal, even the ones with mistakes. So I think if we switch to the next slide, we can go into a little bit of detail about what kind of mistakes we might see in various types of wills. And just to help break it down a little bit, this is the type of wills that, you know, we see and how we've categorized them. So on one side of the extreme, you've got solicitor drafted wills. They've been around, forever, since just after Federation. And then to the left side of the spectrum, you can kind of see this is how we've evolved away from solicitors towards what we call online wills, right? And under each respective will type is all of the errors we've seen in our probate team over the past couple of years. With the respective wills, right? And people might be shocked by this, that the solicitor drafted wills do contain so many errors from time to time. And we can really compare that with the online wills where we've got, just 4 types of errors that are listed. So that's really interesting to me. And it simply is because, of course, not taking a dig at myself as a solicitor, and there is always going to be a place for solicitor wills where things are complex, but doing an online will takes the human element out of it. So, as long as the will maker is entering their name spelled correctly and is spelling their beneficiaries' names correctly, things like that, it's far less prone to a solicitor misspelling your name, for example, which we have seen come across our desk. And then that did require, further expense to the client to get that fixed up. I think just while we're on this slide as well, the really interesting thing that kind of sets online wills aside. So if you've decided you're not going to go down the solicitor path and you want to leave a gift in an online will, they're just far superior to post office will kits or just a self-typed will. Because, and this has also come up a couple of times in the past year, in post office will kits and self-typed will kits, you are able to only dispose of part of your estate. So you can completely forget about, 10% of your estate. And then what happens to that 10% that you've forgotten to gift in your will? Well, it's a problem. So with our online will through Gathered Here, it's impossible to do that because our platform is not going to let you proceed, basically, unless you add up everything to 100%. So you've got the computer double checking everything, which is really good. A really, really nice kind of peace of mind there. I think what I'll do, if we go to the next slide, I might just address 2 of the most common types of mistakes that we see. Because a lot can be wrong, obviously, right? But number 1 is probably where a will maker passes away, and on their death certificate, they've got dementia or Alzheimer's or a stroke or anything kind of like that listed as a cause of death, then the court is probably going to have some questions for their executor, and the court is going to ask, did they have capacity to create a will? And that's a difficult thing to prove after someone's passed away, right? So what I would advise to everybody here, and just if you're ever in this situation, you should proactively, if possible, get a letter from your doctor that states you have capacity to make a will, especially if you're aged over 65. Australia is quite ageist like that, but I would do so. And just, different side of the coin, it's when you don't have that and you're going through probate, it'll be up to your executor to obtain that evidence, right? So your executor would need to talk to your doctor who saw you in your lifetime to get that evidence. So that's how we kind of overcome that. And that error there, that occurs in solicitor wills, homemade wills, all kinds of wills. So just because a will is made online, it's no worse than a solicitor made will in terms of being challengeable or attackable for things like this. Another mistake that is really, really important that I'd love to highlight is, if anybody does up a will that's listening to this, or anybody has to do to get probate for someone because you're an executor, do not take the staples out of the will. I know that sounds so silly, but those two little snake bites that are in the top left corner of the will document will just be a nightmare for you. That's because you're already dealing with the whole court system and lawyers and things like that. Then you don't want to have to deal with the court asking you, hey, did you remove pages of this document and put your own pages in? Or, have you tampered with the will in some way? So it's really, really important not to remove the staples from these documents. This, we see this all the time. People have removed staples because who's to know? You wouldn't think, a normal person, I wouldn't certainly think that that would be a problem, but it can be. So that's something that we do have to deal with from time to time as well. And how would we deal with that? We would need to get extra evidence from the person handling your estate, your executor, that they didn't tamper with the will. And you kind of feel a little bit like a criminal. So that's just an important thing to note, not to do when you're, when you're dealing with wills. But it's all fixable. When there's a will, there's a way. That's my favorite saying. And yeah, everything's fixable to a degree. Thank you, Nicola.
No, thank you. Yeah, and we do have a bit of a change in topic for our next pre-submitted question, which was, what kind of measures are built into your processes to ensure the user is aware that the will needs to be signed to be valid? And the short answer is that there is actually quite a lot. Before, during, and after the will writing process, we really drill this in. Mike, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So we constantly reinforce the message that wills need to be downloaded, they need to be printed, signed, and witnessed. And we do that, as you mentioned, Nicola, before, during, and after the will writing process. Information is provided on the will writing homepage. It's provided in the will writing platform, and it's also there upon completion of the wills as well. And we also have a 5-part email series that goes out to our will writers to coach and help them through various stages of the process as well. Every one of these emails obviously reinforces the importance of signing the will, and one is specifically focused on that topic, giving practical tips on suitable witnesses and legal guidelines as well. So that message is really drilled into our will writers at every stage.
Thanks, Mike. And yeah, I mean, I personally sort of helped draft these messages, so I'm like, yeah, it definitely has been drilled in over and over again. And we actually got another question which ties into this, which was, for bequests acquired via Gathered Here, but with no contact information for the bequester, what's the best way to reach out to them or steward them? And so essentially, how do you steward bequesters who have opted out to share their information? And the short answer is, right now you can't. We have been exploring and experimenting with different options, but respecting user preferences and privacy is also really important to us. So it's a really delicate balance, and it's not something we're going to rush into. Mike, are you okay to elaborate on this one a bit more?
Yep, absolutely. So as you mentioned, it's a tricky one because we understand how much our charity partners want to be able to say thank you to their bequesters and supporters, or to obviously steward them to ensure longevity of the gift, which is very important. We've explored quite a few options. So for example, we've run trials where we've sent a thank you on behalf of a charity to those anonymous donors, and they've been invited to events, or we've even shared annual reports, all on behalf of the charity. And that's important, but we also surveyed those will writers to see how they felt about that outreach, and we received some really critical feedback, which is understandable. So at the end of the day, like, those people chose not to share their details and their information for a specific reason or a number of reasons, and their decision obviously needs to be respected on that. But it's something we're certainly trying to improve. So currently opt-in rates are going really well of supporters sharing their details. It's roughly about 50%, and we're exploring and trying to do the hard work for our charity partners and explore some really intuitive user experience changes within our product and conducting some tests to really try and lift those rates up. So we'll keep you updated on that, but we're trying to do the hard work for you to get more opt-ins.
Thanks, Mike. And that one actually brings us to our last pre-submitted question, which was, what percentage of your online wills have been realized with funds shared with the charities? And, you know, the short answer, I guess, is while we would absolutely love to share that data, comprehensive view just isn't available, as Rika touched on. But do you want to elaborate on this one a bit more, Rika?
Certainly. So yeah, there is no central database, so to speak, of probate files. Every state, they handle their own affairs, and sometimes they talk to each other, sometimes they don't. So look, it's extremely difficult at the moment, if not impossible, to be frank with everybody. And look, we're definitely fighting an uphill battle, as there is no obligation for people to actually inform us that a Gathered Here will has come into effect, because it is just, at the end of the day, a private will document, just like any other will. So the only real reason that we actually have visibility at all is because of our in-house probate team, and we're able to use the data that we can bring to you to help make informed decisions. So just for complete transparency, our team probably, handles about 100 to 150 probates across Australia each year. If we do the maths, about 180,000 people are passing away each year in Australia. Not all of them would require probate. I'm happy to take questions on that, or just send me an email if you've got questions. But yeah, not everyone will require probate, but that is still just really a drop in the ocean when you think about the number of people passing away. But look, focusing on the positives, what we do know is that a quarter of the wills that have come across our team's desk have been online, which is just brilliant. But yeah, about a quarter. And of those, about half of them were actually made on Gathered Here as well. So that's looking pretty promising. And we have also seen a handful of gifts successfully passed on to charities at this point in time, as well as received some reports from charities themselves that they have received gifts. So that's where we're at the moment, but hopefully we'll have some more positive data to report in the future. In the near future, I would say. Thanks, Nicola.
Thanks, Rika. And yeah, as I said, that was the last of our pre-registered questions. If anything is springing to mind for you, please pop them in the Q&A now. I'll just pull these up. So one from Jesse. Recently, I was at a fundraiser network meeting. About a quarter of charities were currently going through court due to contested wills. I don't know what the question is, but Rika, another one, is it higher when the request is to an NFP? Rika, do you want to answer this one?
Sorry, I don't quite understand the question. If you could just maybe rephrase it, or give me a bit more of a specific question, I'd be glad to answer it. Higher rate of contesting, is that the question potentially, to a not-for-profit?
I think what Jesse's saying is, okay, so the average contest rate is about 4%, but
yes,
does that go higher if there is a gift included to an NFP?
I'm not sure. I don't have eyes on that information, unfortunately. But yeah, I honestly couldn't say, unfortunately, Jesse. I apologize, but not that I've seen. I haven't personally experienced that in the past like 8 years of practice. But who knows what the future holds?
I mean, we would love to share more data about that. I'm sort of constantly trying to find more. It is as frustrating for us as you guys, I guess. We would love to have that data. Maybe one day all the states will talk to each other and we'll have an overarching view of it. But yeah, unfortunately right now it's just not something that we have.
Yes.
One from Paul. Is there any timescales for bequesters to be able to leave gifts to causes based in their own state. So I guess sort of geolocations. Adam, do you want to take that one, or Mike?
Yeah, I know it's something the team is working on. Currently, as far as I know, there's no kind of immediate time frame on that. We've been working through a few other changes to the platform, sort of prioritizing what we talk about as gifter rate overall, so just the percentage of people who are actually including a gift in their will. And we've made some changes recently, which has seen a pretty significant shift in that. We used to sit at around sort of between sort of 10 and 15% of will writers including a gift in their will. It would kind of spike at different times, particularly periods like include a charity week. We would see a big increase there. I think we're currently in the past few weeks sitting at closer to 30% of will writers including a gift. So we've seen a pretty huge shift there. That's been a big priority of ours. And with that kind of underway, we're monitoring that obviously to make sure those numbers hold strong. But that should free up some time to start looking at some of these other things. And I know that sort of geo-specific gifting is one of the things that the team has been looking at. I couldn't say exactly where that sits on the priority list of things to do, so I don't want to make any promises, but definitely something we're mindful of. We know that can be a really impactful opportunity for a lot of our partners.
Yeah, and another one on that is, like, whilst we're trying to make things as intuitive and a beautiful experience as possible for our will writers, we don't necessarily know what we don't know, right? And so I understand that the concept of, I'm based in South Australia, will I leave a gift to a charity that's Victorian based only? I might have been born in Victoria. I might have a granddaughter who's blind, and so I want to support Guide Dogs Victoria, things like that. So we do see really intentional giving from people in other states that they've listed, obviously, in their Gathered Here profile, whilst gifting to an organisation as well. So we'll try and be smart with geolocation as well, but also don't necessarily want to potentially box some people in from doing what they want to do in their will and be charitable to who they want to be charitable to. But it is important feedback.
Right. And the next question was, is the word will, does the word will need to have a capital W, or is lowercase will okay? That is complete preference, and we do see it vary. I think, yeah, some people use the capital because I guess with the wording that you're using, it can appear confusing, but that is, yeah, a style guide situation really. So yeah, feel free to
probably saw all of us smile just then, because that's a hotly contested debate that Gathered Here as well. So.
Yeah, definitely a style guide situation. So yeah, do whatever you prefer. Just answer. Jesse, how old can a beneficiary be? How old does a guardian need to be? Rika, I think this one is for you.
Sure. Look, a beneficiary can be any age. Sometimes I do wills for people that they don't actually know if they're going to have more children. So sometimes the clause, this is when I'm doing a bespoke will, right, for one of those more complex situations, but it'll say, to my children whenever born. So contemplating, because a lot of people will make a will, forget about it, and then pass away, right? And they might just, name two of their children and they've left this other child completely out of the will, and it's a big drama, right? So look, to answer your question, that it can be any age, that's fine. But for when they can receive it, so you would be leaving instructions in your will as to who's to manage that money for them. Usually it's the executor. Typically they just have the money in a trust account until the beneficiary is of age, and depending on what's in the will and which state you're from, they'll just be able to apply that money to the beneficiary throughout their life as well, for things like school trips, education, things like that. Yeah, until they turn 18, at which point they're entitled to the whole amount. And how old does a guardian have to be? They need to be 18 years old. Yes.
The next question, I've attended a few webinars and the broad advice is to use an education approach. How can campaigns be differentiated if this is the general advice? And there are a few different approaches that you can use for this one. I guess one thing, it would depend on if you're talking about different organizations. Yes, we can educate about wills and bequests, but also the impact for your specific organization. And if you then start receiving requests and the real life impact that they have had for your organization, that's a really awesome way to start differentiating different requests, and obviously tied to different events or different themes. You can work that through as well. But yeah, we have found that having that real life impact is very, very effective. Another sort of legal one here as well. If we are promised a bequest and our organization ceases to exist, what happens to the bequest? Do you notify this person? It's kind of a split between legal and product. So I'll let anyone jump in for who wants it.
There is a very legalese answer. So there's a standard clause at the moment in our gathered here wills. If anyone's got one, take a look at clause number 7 and you'll look at clause 7.6. So if you give a gift to a charitable organization and they cease to exist at the time that the person has passed away, that gift is then given to your executor. So the person you've named to organize all of your stuff for you when you pass away, to then donate to another charity that most closely aligns with the charity that was named in your will originally. But obviously, if there's, the charities existing in some other form, you could, likely it's just going to go to the charity still if they evolve, change names, things like that. But depends.
Just jump in there quickly as well. I know we had one partner who has ceased operations. The foundation shut down completely, and they basically transferred all of their fundraising work to another organization who works with us now. And they did have a few gifts that were left through our platform, and so we, I think one of those had shared details, one hadn't. So the one who had opted to remain anonymous, we did contact them on behalf of the charity and just let them know that the organization you've chosen to include in your will no longer exists. Here are the details for the new organization if you would like to update your will and leave the gift to them, or if you'd like to support a different cause. So there's some stuff we can do to help depending on sort of how it happens and what that looks like. And obviously some of that starts coming back to some of the previous discussions around privacy and respecting that from users as well. But in the case of wanting to inform a will writer about a pretty drastic change of an organization no longer existing, definitely something we can help out with as well.
Nice. And a question from Erin: does your team have expertise in working with parents who have a child or adult child with a disability? Erin, do you mean in terms of drafting wills? Because we do also have this side of our organization that helps draft complex wills, or do you mean the gift side? We might just need clarity on that one. But Rika, do you want to answer that in case it's in terms of the will drafting side?
Certainly. Oh, absolutely. We've got a team. Yes. No, we definitely have a team that can assist with that. We work across all states of Australia. So please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like me to make an introduction to our bespoke wills solicitor. I tend to do more probate these days, but I'll introduce you to my colleague who's very experienced and knowledgeable. So I'll be glad to make that introduction.
Nice. I think that's about all the questions that have come through. I'm just trying to have a look through the
Yes,
chat
there
to
is
see.
There's a couple
more
in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just seen one here from Madeline. Is the staple non-tampering compliance communicated on your website? Yes, it is, and it's also communicated on the will itself when that's downloaded, and they have like detailed instructions. And in the follow-up email series that we have, that follow-up email series gives like really specific breakdown of the steps that they need to go through to get that will completely valid and look after it so it's safe. So yeah, that is communicated. Another one from Jesse: is there supporting legislation regarding online wills that we can take to our board? Rika?
Look, every state has different legislation. I would direct you to section, I mean, depending on which state you're from, maybe if you drop me an email, I'll be able to send you something a bit more specific. But just to be really boring for a second, what a will is defined by the law, right? And an online will ticks all of those boxes. So Queensland, we're looking at Section 10 of the Succession Act. It's in writing, it's signed, it communicates the testamentary intentions. For all intents and purposes, online wills tick all those boxes. It's just because they're new and scary that people tend to freak out. And also lawyers don't really like it when people steal their business, to be frank. So there's nothing wrong with a validly executed online will as long as it's a simple affair. It definitely ticks boxes. Please send me an email and let me know what state your organization is in, and I will be able to send you something more bespoke.
And a question from Julie as well: do you deal with many wills that involve farms, and what do they involve?
On the probate side or on the
Yeah, so I
on
thought
the
I could
drafting
see the
side?
gears turning then, just scanning through all of your probate clients. Yeah, I guess in terms of the probate side of things.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, for all intents and purposes, I've in my career, yes, I have. I've dealt more with horses. But like large scale, we're talking like outback, large thousands of, of animals, and they're just unfortunately classified as property. So it would be the same as saying, look, I have 10,000 tables and I want to give them all to my wife. That's unfortunately how the law looks at animals at the moment. Yeah, that's it comes up. They do come up, and animals. We deal with pets every day. Every day. A lot of wills have now got pets listed in them, and so they should, because they're our family, right? So yes.
And then Julie's just following up with, as in drafting the will and complexities. And I would say on this one, obviously online wills absolutely amazing, but we do have a complex will drafting side of
Yes.
our organization as well, just because some estates are too complicated for online wills to handle. But we have had large complex estates come through. It's not, if you essentially say, I want 100% of this farm to go to one person, that might be a complex estate, but it's a very simple instruction. So an online will might work, but it just really does depend on what actually wants to happen with that. But yes, Rika is definitely a woman to go to for those sorts of questions. And yeah, I mean, all of our contact information is on there. Please, if there is a question that comes up after this, please feel free to get in touch with any of us, or if you don't know who the right person is, just email me and I'll forward you on to the right person. I'll figure that out for you. I think that is it. I've looked through the chat and we are just about near the end. So unfortunately, won't give you too much time back, but I will give you 5 minutes of your afternoon back. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody who asked a question and stayed along. We really enjoyed getting these questions, and as I say, a few of them prompted interesting conversation among the team. So we really appreciate it. Look out for a follow-up. We will be sending out a recording in the next couple of days. But yeah, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.